Hello and welcome to my review of the Thallax Cohort for Mechanicum for Warhammer, the Horus Heresy. Presently the only way to get 3 of these is in the Mechanicum Battlegroup. That set actually provides you with 6 of them. I'm reviewing 3 of them just for speed of review and the fact that the unit composition is typically 3. I highly doubt when they're released separately that they'll just sell you 3 in a box. I think it will be 6. But that means that at the moment the price to pick up, 6 of them by getting this box set would be £130. My best estimate for when they're released in one box set would be between £40 and £50 for the 6. As 6 of them consists of 3 medium-sized sprues. So the structure of this review is as usual. I'll have a look at the miniatures, I'll talk a little bit about them, go through their detail, then I'll go through the spare parts, of which there's a fair few spare parts, but that's mainly because I have been building the other 3, so you'll see spare parts for a set of 6, which I assume will be the individual box set. I'll go through some size comparisons with other Mechanicum models and Mechanicus, as well as some Space Marines. Then at the end, I'll go through all of their rules. So first up, let's have a look at the miniatures. I built these 3 in a live stream in the 3 hours or so. You could probably, if you don't talk like I do in live streams and things, you could probably smash out the 6 of them in about 3 to 4 hours. They were very fun to build. They are now my second most fun kit in the Mechanicum release, very shortly after the Triaros tank. I had a lot of fun with that tank, and it even challenged me in places in terms of the join lines, but the tracks were good. Overall, I'm very happy with that tank, and these coming in a very close second. The one thing I will say is you'll have a lot of fun building the legs, the torso and the weapon, and the head and things, but then not so fun is all of like the extra little bits, like all the jet thrusters, these attachments, those things really. You'll think that you've almost built the mini and then it just throws those at you. One thing I will say is you can actually get away with clipping the plugs off of the hips when you put them in the actual hip joints. You've got plenty of scope there because they can be moved and the angle of the knees and things is set, but you've got a bit of freedom there with the ball joints on the feet themselves. Also, I would definitely recommend you clip off the plug that connects the torso to the hips, because then you can rotate, move the whole body pretty much. The only thing you can't do really is move the sort of angle and things of the weapons, but they're nicely angled, and with the addition of the option of being able to move the hips and the feet, the head and the torso, you can really pull off some nice looking poses, like this one for instance. You don't have to go with the poses that they've gone for. You can sort of move the torsos and the heads around and create some nice looking poses. So these are equipped with the lightning guns. In a unit of 3 you have to have, all 3 of them can have lightning guns, but then one of them out of the 3 can have an optional weapon, and that's why this one looks so badass with this photon thruster. You can also equip them with a plasma fusil or a multi-melter. So yeah, you can have a cheeky multi-melter per 3 of these. So that's nice. Photon thruster looks absolutely incredible. So yeah, good looking minis, nice to build, no real issues there. I think I'd never had the resin minis, but I think they're going to be quite similar. You're probably getting a little bit more detail, and they're going to be easy to build with the resin minis. They definitely consist of fewer parts, so there is that. So if you've got the resin minis and you just want to bump up your force, no doubt you'll be able to pick up a box of 6 of these at some point soon. Spare parts, these are all the spare parts that I had left over after, I've currently got the parts ready for the other 3, so these are it. This is just what you're left with. I have opted to go for a plasma fusil on the other 3. when I do pick up another box set of these, I'm most likely going to give 2 of them the multi-melters, or maybe even push and have another one with a plasma and then have a multi-melter. The thing is about Mechanicum is there's never any shortage of anti-infantry weapons or anti-tank weapons, you know, somewhere or another. So I'm left with my kit, I'm left with 2 multi-melters, a photon thruster, 2 lightning guns, and then a plasma fusel. As I said before, you can have all 6 of them with lightning guns if you really wished. You get a number of arms, loads of heads. I was really surprised. So you can go for these types of heads with the kind of shiny front to them, or you can go for these, well, not more robotic, but like completely metal covered heads. So there's loads of spare heads in this, so you can really you know, change the look of them, you know, head wise. Size comparisons then, we'll kick off just with your standard troops, because of course these are troops themselves. This is like a tech thrall, so this is where tech thrall stands. I like the size and the beefiness of the Thallax though, and I would prefer them to use them as troops rather than these, you know, pretty awful cannon fodder that sort of stumble forwards with these, you know, terrible weapons and you know, very squishy units. Then I've got a Castellax, which, yeah, I enjoyed the first part of the build, but then the rest was a bit tricky. The weapon at least is pretty good to put together, and yeah, if you think that weapon is very similar, it is pretty much a larger photon thruster. It's called a dart fire cannon, and the rules are quite similar too. So I like that shared aesthetic there, but that's where the Thallax measures next to a Castellax. And then vehicle wise, because you could probably put a few of these in this Triaros, that's where it stands next to those. And I think size wise sort of works. They are too big to be walking in and out of that unless they're crouched and hunched and things. This is a bit more believable, but yeah, that's why these, I guess, rules wise count as bulky. So this is a transport capacity of 22, so you could have 11 in there. So you could have 1 unit of 8 and 1 unit of 3 all squeezed into one of these. But that's where it measures up next to the Triaros. And that's all the new minis in the set size comparisons. Just give you a comparison with some other Mechanicum, specifically some Knights. So I have a Moirax, which works surprisingly well with these. You know, you can imagine, well, even just 3 of them works well with one Moirax and heavy support backing them up. I've also got a Knight Magira. Sort of works well, and then it wouldn't be a Mechanicum review without comparison with the big daddy, the Knight Acastus Asterius. So these, you know, probably half the height of the lower leg, the shin. Keeping on the theme of, you know, Mechanicus, I have a Tech Priest just because, you know, there will be a Tech Priest released at some point for Mechanicum. So he, you know, these are similarly heighted. I'd probably say they're a bit taller sort of head-wise, but then there's all the other extras that a Tech Priest brings to the table. And then I've got one of those Skitarii Marshals, which is a little bit smaller. Space Marine wise, I've got a couple of Space Marines here for Horus Heresy. It's probably one of the comparisons you really wanted to see. So yeah, these Thallax are taller than your standard Mark 3s and Mark 6s. So yeah, if you wanted a Mechanicum army with you know, made up of miniatures that are just bigger than Space Marines normally, Thallax are the way to go. You know, not really the tech thralls. They're going to be smaller. And the final size comparisons I always like to make, just with the 40k minis, we have a Primaris, we have a Space Marine, and then Sly Marbo. So normal Space Marine is a fair bit smaller, barely up to the chest. Sly Marbo, again, barely up to the chest, and then a Primaris, still smaller. So, you know, if you wanted to proxy these as something in Mechanicus, maybe, I don't know what you'd proxy them as, you know, and you're going up against, you know, Primaris Space Marines, they're going to be taller than those. So again, it's a nice unit that is, you know, one of the taller troop choices that you can get. Okay, this is my part of the review where I will go through all of the rules for the Thallax Cohort. You'll find their rules in the Liber Mechanicum Forces of the Omnissiah Army book that was released in 2022. They are a troop choice, as I've continued to announce throughout this review, and they're actually the second troop choice in the book. They will cost you a stately 125 points for 3 models. Their stat line reads: they're a movement of 7 inches, weapon skill 3, ballistic skill 4, strength 4, toughness 5, 3 wounds, initiative 2, 2 attacks, leadership 7, and a save of 4+. It's pretty nice, you know. They're quite fast at movement 7, they've got a good ballistic skill, decent toughness, decent number of wounds. They're just lacking in the weapon skill and number of attacks, and their save's alright at 4+ as well. Their war gear, they have close combat weapon, lightning gun, Lorica Thallax, Incuna Bulan jetpack. I probably murdered that pronunciation. Frag grenades, interesting. They are a unit type infantry line. Special rules: bulky 2, gin sight, feel no pain 6+, relentless, and stubborn. They can opt to take a dedicated transport, numbering no more than 6 models. So if you want to have 8 in them, then it can't be a dedicated transport. Take a Triaros armoured conveyor as a dedicated transport. As a dedicated transport, this does not use up an additional force organisation slot, but its points cost must still be paid for as part of the army. Options: the Thallax Cohort may include up to an additional 6 Thallax at 37 points per model. So you are going to be saving 14 points if you had 6 of them in the unit, as opposed to a completely separate unit of an extra 3. The entire unit may take melter bombs at 5 points per model. Any model with a lightning gun may take chain bayonet at 2 points each, and then for every 3 models in the unit, 1 Thallax may exchange their lightning gun for one of the following weapons: multi-laser for 5 points, irrad cleanser for 10, phase plasma fusil for 10, multi-melter for 25, and a photon thruster for 25. Important to note, you don't actually get the weapons for 2 of those options, for the multi-laser and the irrad cleanser. I guess at the moment it might be worth just proxying them. If you're going up against a game with someone and you really want to use a multi-laser or irrad cleanser, you're only going to be having 1 per 3 anyway. Just proxying like the photon thruster or the phase plasma fusil as one of those 2 other weapons. Speaking of weapons, let's go through the actual profiles of them. So typically they're equipped with the lightning guns. They have 2 weapon profiles: an arc attack, which is range of 18 inches, strength 4, AP nothing, heavy 3, and shred, or a strike attack, which is the same range at 18 inches, strength 7, AP 5, heavy 1, rending 4+, shred. So you've really got the option there of firing lots of shots that might not do any damage because it's only strength 4 and no armor penetration, or firing a 1 shot that has a potential of you know, rending on a 4+. So that's the trade-off. So not the best weapons. Shred aids their strength in a way if you're going to go for the, you know, 3-shot attack, because you can re-roll fail to wound rolls. And if you didn't already know, rending, when you wound a roll equal to or greater than the number of wounds, it's resolved at armor penetration 2. So in this case it's a 4+, so if you're wounding on a 4+, which let's face it is 50-50 chance, then it's going to be resolving at an armor penetration of 2. So you've got the potential there to wipe out Space Marines and force Terminators their invulnerable saves. And bearing in mind though, those lightning guns are only 18-inch range, so you're definitely going to be in range of their bolt guns, and very close to being in assault range as well. As the special weapon, I've gone for the Photon Thruster, which is a range of 24 inches, strength 6, AP 2, assault 2, blind, lance, gets hot. I just feel like It sort of gives me some anti-tank weaponry. It's better range than the lightning guns. It's an assault weapon, which means you can always fire it. He's going to be hitting on 3+ anyway. It's a decent strength, decent arm penetration, and it is a lance weapon too. So yeah, that's quite good against vehicles. Obviously not as good as like the multi-melter, which works as usual. It's a nice 24-inch range, same range as that photon thruster. Its strength is better though, at strength 8, armor penetration of 1. It's a heavy 1, armor bane, twin-linked weapon, so you're getting that extra d6 for penetration, and you're going to be re-rolling missed hits, which is also important. Multi-lasers are 36-inch range, strength 6, AP 6, heavy 3, nothing to write home about. And the Arad cleansers, which you might not have come across yet. They are a template weapon, so normal flamer template. Strength is only 2, armor penetration is 5, assault 1, but they do have fleshbane and radphage. The phase plasma fusel is another decent choice, which I have picked as my special weapon for the next 3. It's a 24-inch range, so they're keeping to these medium range weapons for this unit. Range 24 inches, strength 6, AP 3, heavy 3, breaching 4+, gets hot. So again, that's giving you an option of 3 shots this time, AP 3, so you're going to be taking out Space Marines quite easily with that, and with the potential of breaching 4+, you're going to be knocking that armor penetration down as well. So some decent but medium range weaponry there that will definitely cause a few problems against any sort of Space Marines that you're up against. They do have that Feel No Pain 6+, so that adds to their survivability. One thing I haven't mentioned yet is their Incunabulum jetpack, which I still can't say. Essentially, a unit with these jetpacks can choose to increase their movement characteristic by 6 inches and ignore terrain while moving during the movement phase. If it begins its movement in dangerous terrain, it will still need to make a dangerous terrain test as normal. In addition to the bonus move during the movement phase, if all of the models in the unit have those jetpacks, you can make an additional move of 6 inches in the shooting phase, and the move must be taken after the unit has completed any shooting attacks. Also gains bulky 2 and deep strike special rules. So what that means is you can move your normal 7 inches, you can move an additional 6 inches, so that's 13 inches. You can fire, because it says in addition to the bonus move during the movement phase, you can make an additional move of 6 inches after the unit has completed any shooting attacks. So move 6 inches, move 7 inches, move an additional 6, so that's 13 inches, fire, and then move another 6 inches. So overall you're moving 19 inches. So quite a fast unit, similar to a jetpack squad, really. If you're facing these guys on the battlefield and you see like 6 of them just out in the open, it's worth taking them out from long range quite quickly, because although the arc guns might not cause you too much damage, their sort of special weapon that they have, either the photon thrusters, the plasma fusils, or the multi-melters, are much bigger threats. And it's those extra movements that they can have. So yeah, you're just looking at them as troops with a 7-inch movement speed, with their 24-inch multi-melters, photon thrusters, and plasma fusils. That means they've got an effective range there of 37 inches. So just because they seem quite far away, they can close the gap quite quickly, get in range with their special weapons, and then also on top of that, move 6 inches away, which would then put them out of firing range of Space Marine bolters and things. It's just an important note for me to make. Apart from that then, I think they're really cool models. The rules are pretty nice for them, solid troop choice. They can whiz about the battlefield. They don't need to be in a Triarus, but if you wanted to give them protection from the start, they do have deep strike as well, which is nice. Then you could protect them in one of those armoured conveyors, like a whole group of 9 of them, if you really wanted, but not as a dedicated troops transport that way. You could just have 6 of them in there as a dedicated troop transport. What do you guys think of the Thallax? For me, they were a nice surprise, both the models, building them, and the way they look, as well as the rules. Please do put your thoughts and opinions down in the comments below. It'd be good to hear from you. Thank you for watching. The Omnissiah protects.